get into the draft though. Gwen immediately banned away by NAVI. Importantly for everyone at home, 25.15 is the patch, and Yunara is enabled. Mel, however, is on a global disable right now, I believe, so we won't be seeing her today.
So far, we're seeing the tried and true bans that we've been seeing around the world. Pantheon likely to be very high on the priority list as well. Vi, we've still been seeing a lot of this removed internationally, but Canna's Jace, for anyone that watched Spring, well, for anyone that's watched Canna in general, the man's Jace is disgustingly good, and NAVI do not want to run the risk of handing that over to him. Larssen's Xayah, a champion that is very well known to him, and it's going to be taken away as well. But we still have the Pantheon available. The Vi is also up and ready. And as I say that, NAVI going to be taking that one away just as fast.
Yeah, Pantheon's kind of fallen down a little bit over the last couple of patches. Still a very strong jungle picking competitive play.
100%.
But in solo queue, I think he's sitting at about 45% win rate. Diamond plus.
Definitely did affect him. But in the pro level, he definitely seems to be very valuable. We'll see where he falls in the priority ladder in this game. Rumble still available as well. Champion that we've been seeing a huge amount. And it's not going to be banned. Instead, it's going to be directed towards Adam. So, of course, our reaction isn't that crazy because for anyone that's followed Adam knows that this is one of his go-to champions, synonymous with him as a player. Right now, though, NAVI hovering through a number of options. The Pantheon has been left available. We'll see what team wants to prioritize it. The Rumble we also mentioned as well. And there's going to be that lock-in for Thayger, one of our new additions to the LEC here in summer.
Yeah, coming up from Barca Esports, Thayger has the opportunity to make a name for himself here in summer. There are rumors as to whether he'll be with the team still next year with, is it Rylak coming in? So we will see what Thayger can do here for maybe only 4 best of 3s, maybe more, if NAVI can buck the trend that Rogue was on of finishing 10th in successive splits. KC looking for their first pick, Taliyah, with the Azir band away. No real surprises there. In all actuality, in all honesty, there haven't been a huge amount of draft changes from MSI or even from Spring Split coming into summer here.
So likely something like a Wukong, also the Xin Zhao could be a possibility. Trundle, often a response into the Pantheon, but I think things like Wukong just give you a little bit more teamfight power, synergize quite nicely with the Taliyah as well. Ooh, interesting. They're going to be putting Canna on the Sion. Now, I do recall last split even, when KC was struggling a little bit, they were like, well, actually, maybe it was the way back in winter where we heard these comments. We're like, we don't really want Canna on the tanks. We don't want him to constantly be having impact, but we've been seeing at international events how impactful this champion can be. So Canna going to be getting his hands on the champion once more. No stranger to it at all throughout his career.
It's the 3rd most picked top in the LPL right now. It's no real surprises that the Sion is locked in early here for KC. Orianna going to be picked by Larssen for NAVI. I would like something like the Trundle, but with the Pantheon already locked in, you have to move the Trundle either to the top lane or move the Pantheon into support and then play Trundle jungle. It's a little bit trickier for NAVI to get that subjugate, to get that tank-destroying power.
Aatrox is the common response that we've seen internationally into the Sion, and it looks like we're going to be seeing that from Adam as well. Usually it's considered a pretty easy lane for the Aatrox to play into, gives you a lot of time to scale up and have impact, and there is that Wukong. So the fact that I was able to predict most of these picks just goes to show how similar
You're the god gamer, Vedi.
I think it just shows how similar the patches to MSI. The world definitely seems to be following a very similar trend. Of course, we are still playing in Fearless, as we have been throughout the entirety of the year, so all the champions you're seeing locked in will not be picked throughout the rest of this series. But we're moving to the bot lane. Now, we've been very excited for Caliste specifically because of what he's been playing in solo queue. Yunara is something he has been spamming.
Adam has been playing it top as well, though, so I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, I'm hopeful. I really hope we do get to see it. It would be the first one in competitive play, just because we're the first region that has enabled the champion. And so let's see if it does get locked in. Rel and Nautilus going to be banned away from Malrang. Of course, one of the other changes that we see to NAVI, the fact that we're getting that addition from the jungle into the support position. We got to see him play a little bit when Trick ended up subbing in last split. We know that he's an aggressive player that loves to try and make magic happen. And with Lulu taken away, Yunara is up. So will we get to see it come through from Caliste or even Hansambi?
I'm hearing a lot of different things about the Yunara generally. I know Jackspektra isn't a massive fan of her. I've seen her rip through solo queue games when she gets to 3 items.
He literally told me at lunch he thought that she was OP. So
oh, really?
Given different information.
Okay, I thought I heard him in the story meeting on Wednesday say he didn't like it that much. So crossed wires there. Someone doesn't like it, and Jack apparently thinks it's OP right now. So does do a lot of work, kind of similar to a Jinx. There it is, locked in for Hansum D here on his world tour, going through the LFL, going through the LCK, the LPL, now here in the LEC. He's going to crack out the first competitive Yunara that we have seen. Alongside that, a tank for Malrang. What else? Something that can engage. He's going to be going towards that Alistar.
She is a really exciting champion to watch. The Xayah going to be locked in for Caliste. So Yunara, I mean, I'm really interested to see how she performs here in competitive play. Of course, the competitive environment is very different from what we've been able to see in things like solo queue. But as a champion, she's got a lot of different elements. She has some things like the Sivir with the stacking Q. She has a lot of potential team fight damage if she's able to get a lot of hits off. Talking to Jack earlier, he was telling me that he thinks she has a lot of trading power in the laning phase, but against the Xayah, how is that going to fare? She does have a bit of poke available to her thanks to her W, the bonus movement speed, but a lot of her power comes from her ultimate. She is very reliant on it, given that it gives her so much power in the skirmishing, in the fights, and she's going to be very reliant on it. So it could be a big window to try and exploit when she doesn't have it available. We're going to be jumping into our first game of summer. This is, of course, a best of 3. And there is already a lot on the line for both of these teams. Given there's not many best of 3s for each group, every win is extremely important. I'm excited, Medic.
It's a really tough group as well. You have to remember MKOI, Giant X, Vitality, NAVI, and KC are in this group. If you are fighting to avoid the bottom, it is going to be a very difficult road over the next few weeks. For KC and MKOI, they'll be looking at that top 1, top 2 spots. They'll be looking at the buys coming through. And for KC as well, looking at coming back to the stage with a plot, with a bang here. They really need to show just how good they are and how much they have developed over the last couple of months. As they weren't at MSI, they weren't at EWC. They have had that time to recuperate, to refresh. Caliste was talking about taking a couple of weeks off and coming back and resetting how they play as a team, especially with some of the attitude problems that they had in spring. And he talked about it in a LEC article, saying there were some problems within the team. There was some strife that was causing issues. Have they rectified those issues? And even if they haven't, are NAVI the team that will actually challenge them on some of those problems?
Also, I do need to apologize. This apparently is the second Yunara.
Oh.
It was, in fact, played by PSG Betty.
In the LCP. I didn't watch the LCP, yeah, I apologize.
That's our bad, we apologize for that.
But it's the first one here in Europe,
It is the first one here in Europe, that's for sure. We'll see how Hansum D is able to perform on it. And when we were doing a bit of research on this player joining the LEC, I was surprised by how many different teams he has played on. Yeah. So when you look across his career, you can see that he's played in the LPL, he's played in the LCK, he's played in the LLA, he's also played in the LFL, and that's recently where he has come from. Yep. Back in winter, he also made it to the EMEA Masters final, where he did end up losing to LR, but he was also a part of that V5 kind of miracle run they were making through playoffs. A lot of people expected them to make it to Worlds, and unfortunately they did just fall short. But he's had quite the history, but success has eluded him. Now that he's joined the LEC, he's going to have an opportunity to fight, but it's also a part of helping the development and change of what formerly Rogue, Navi taking that spot and giving this organization a new opportunity to make an impression here on the LEC stage.
And they have been around in Riot Games for a little while. Joined VCT 3 years ago. They've got VCT Challenges in Valorant. We actually saw them compete in the EU Challenger Series Open qualifiers all the way back in 2016, and they weren't quite able to make it into the Challenger scene. And obviously, Navi is an organization world-renowned in other games.
Absolutely.
You know, T1, TI champions, CSGO, just absolutely storming through the charts in all of those games. Great to see them here in the LEC. Great to see what they can do on the LEC stage as well, because although it is slightly new look, there are still remnants of Rogue in this team. Adam, obviously Malrang, Larssen still here. For them, it's the opportunity to prove themselves in this summer split. Prove that they aren't just the 10th place team, they're 10th place players for the entire year.
Absolutely. And of course, we keep our eyes on the bot lane. We were super excited to see this champion come through. So far, they are losing in terms of the push, and the trading is going pretty favorably for the KC duo for now.
One of the problems with Yunara is her cultivation of spirit. As an ability, it's great when you have it stacked up. You need 8 stacks on it to be able to activate it, and then you get this AoE damage from your auto attacks. You can see the orbs circling around Hun Sumdi right now. Alongside that, a lot of her power budget is in her ultimate. Transcending oneself empowers all of her other abilities, gives her this Runan's proc on her auto attacks that comes from the cultivation of spirit. But until you get to that point, especially into something like a Xayah and Rakan that have such good range, that have such good poke, it can be really challenging actually to win out on the lane. And alongside that, he's got an Alistar, which is not known as the best early laning support.
Exactly, and so KC is trying to do everything in their power to take advantage of that. They see the wave stacking up and they want to make sure they don't lose it, but Yike is in the area. Will they threaten a dive?
He's going to decoy across the wall here. Hun Sumdi is at half HP, has no pots, has a barrier, no heal. Malrang knocks Yike back, Targamas goes in, flash away from Hun Sumdi as Caliste tanks the tower and has to use a barrier of his own. Does get the root down with the Blade Caller, but in the end, just a barrier for barrier exchange.
Well, they ended up getting the flash out from Han Sumdi because it was the knockup that came initially from Targamas to try and start off the play, but then Han Sumdi forced the flash away. So they're not too upset off the back of that trade. They're going to get that early reset off first, and because of the wave state as well, Han Sumdi might even have to stick around an extra wave to push this one out, which will give Caliste and Targamas a lot of time. I wonder if we will see a swap come through. We've been seeing those a lot throughout the world, and often it's the Sion team to initiate those swaps just because of how well the Sion can play in the 2 versus 1. But this is what I was talking about. They stayed for the extra wave because if they hadn't, they would have created a slow push. They needed to get that wave underneath the tower. This gives Targamas a huge amount of time to roam around on the map, so he's already first back out on the map. He's hovering around mid lane right now. He's going to be using this time to maybe get a little bit of deep vision because he has just replenished, well, a control ward. And so a bit of information will be garnered on the bot side of the map. But now the question mark pings comes through as to where the Alistar is going to be on the map.
Also wondering where the Wukong is. Is the Wukong the one that just hit that Squire's Boom, or is he on his Razor Peaks right now? Navi will bring Malrang out to clear out this vision. It doesn't have a Squire's Bloom to get any awareness for himself. Targamas still waiting in the wings. In the end, Thayger and Malrang are going to look towards mid here. But Vladi is so hard to gank when your stun and your CC relies on you dashing forward, because he has the Unraveled Earth at any possible opportunity. You dash in, you're immediately stunned. You then need follow-up from the rest of your team, but they also want to dash in. And it's one of the joys of playing Taliyah is how hard you can be to gank.
I mean, I will also say that for Navi, with 2 rookies here on the LEC stage, you have to imagine that nerves do play a part. So far, it's been a very slow early game. It's something I'm going to be keeping my eyes on for. Thayger is just making stuff happen with the Pantheon ultimate. We know how proactive this Pantheon can be. We know how playmaking the champion can be, and how you really need to utilize that early game strength to try and force skirmishes where you can. First dragon of the game will go over to KC. The grub's likely going to be the next priority.
It looks like Navi trying to set up something here, as Thayger is down in this bottom lane. Maybe just covering to make sure that Hun Sumdi and Malrang can push out, knowing that the dragon's just gone down. Yike's in the area. You want to make sure that this wave gets closer to the tower. Caliste holding on to the cannon for now. Larssen has a slight lead in the mid lane here over Vladi, who, although he does have relatively good clear, doesn't really come online until you've got a tier or a lost chapter to actually spam out those threaded volleys and clear out the wave. So slight lead in top for Navi, slight lead in mid, but answered by the lead that Caliste has generated alongside Targamas in that bottom lane.
Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, we are seeing Adam build a bit of a lead, thanks to securing that plate as well. He's going to get a small gold advantage too. This is kind of how we expect the matchup to play out. And Aatrox is going to just continue to free farm. Oh, his base going to be interrupted there. But Adam is someone that, from what I remember, even during the struggles of Rogue from last split, he was still able to have some really impressive carry performances. And I think that overall, he did have a solid split. So I'm excited to see him back on the Rift, as it looks like that Navi matching the swap initiated from KC, especially with the grub spawning in about 30 seconds. We expect those to be the priorities for both these teams.
Yeah, you really want to play around the grubs early game, 30 seconds before they come up. Neither of the supports have upgraded their world atlases yet, nor are either of them at that level 6 mark, which you really want if you're going to fight around these grubs. But because neither of them are there, it's all a bit of a wash overall. Yike is 6 though, has that Cyclone. Hun Sumdi needs to avoid what could be a tempestuous situation up here if he oversteps. But he's not going to do that. He'll back away. Interestingly named himself for Hun Summer because he respected the player so much as he was growing up. Now playing in the same league as him and trying to prove that he belongs here in the LEC.
He is going to have to secure a top 4 spot if he wants to have an opportunity to play against G2, against one of his idols. Engage from Malrang.
Yeah, good knockup. Does put the exhaust down, which perhaps was just to slow Yike, making sure that he couldn't get closer. Does also have the unsealed spellbook, switches over to the heal now, but that will be coming back off cooldown in just a little while. NAVI on the grubs first. Yike take away his Razor Beaks. We'll heal up from those. Thayger here with Han Samdi should be able to secure one. They'll get it. Haven't used the smite as of yet. Larssen now coming across. This is a good bottleneck. Malrang flashes in. Shockwave has to be flashed away by Yike. And now for KC, they can look for the re-engage. Spells used by NAVI. Cyclone's still available. Vladi going in. There's the Weaver's Wall. Thayger on the right side of it. Gets out. Exhaust has been popped on him. We'll try and get back in here. Does still have that smite. Malrang comes across the wall. Yike with a good Cyclone. Knocks Malrang up. Here's the Grand Starfall, though. Thayger flashes away from the seismic shove. Yike is down to 200 HP, and Somebody is flashing forward. He's transcended himself, and he's looking for his first kill. Finds it. Targamas now locked up. Adam coming in as well. As he looks for the flank, KC forced back, retreating under their tower.
Okay, so it's a 1 grub for 1 grub, but NAVI get themselves first blood. Thayger using the ultimate to chase down KC. They grab themselves the grub to deny the 3 grubs from NAVI, and they think that they can escape from the fight, but the ultimate buys NAVI enough time to get that kill. Admittedly though, Targamas does a fantastic job of keeping Yike alive. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough. So we see Malrang going over the wall, looking for an initiation, but Yike for the interrupt on the ulti of his own. Then Thayger follows up with the ulti. The flash comes through from Han Samdi. The heal from Targamas to give him the bonus movement speed. The Gleaming Core also just enough to keep him alive, but then the snipe comes through from Han Samdi. And now this Yunara sits with first blood.
Look, I'm not going to say Alistar's a really easy champion to play, but Malrang has played these last 2 fights really well. The flash engage onto Yike to force him to flash away originally with the shockwave coming in. Then the follow-up to get the Cyclone out, meaning that Yike couldn't use it aggressively onto the backline, instead had to use it both for the knockup and for the movement speed to get away. I had questions about Malrang as a support. I thought Jarvan support isn't meta, there's no way Malrang can do that well. But so far, in the first 10 minutes of game 1, he's played pretty well.
So far, so good. We'll see how things continue, as so far at the bottom of our screens, we see the gold favoring NAVI. The problems for Orianna in a meta like this is that when you move over to a side lane, it can be very scary. In the longer lanes, she is very vulnerable, especially to champions like Wukong plus Taliyah. But you'll notice that Thayger is hovering around the bot side of the map. Malrang also moving towards that bot side while they leave Han Samdi in the middle lane. KC setting up for this dragon. NAVI's in a position to contest, but it doesn't look like that they're interested. And I do think that this is the wise choice.
I think they're going to fight it, Betty.
I think you are. I think they're too late, though. They're way too late.
Thayger's ultimate about to come back off cooldown. Malrang has that unbreakable will. Vision behind. There's the TP from Adam. There's the shockwave combo. Yike has to try and get away with the Cyclone. Good knockback with the seismic shove. Will disengage the fight for now. KC looking for the re-engage. Canna comes in. Hasn't popped that ultimate yet. But Han Samdi has no flash and has no way out. KC on the board.
The response from KC is good. NAVI tried to use the numbers advantage, but I don't think the fight is over just yet. The ulti comes through from Vladi.
The chase continues as Adam oversteps. Looking for the damage onto Canna. He'll fall second. 2-1 now for KC and a dragon alongside.
A very nice punish from KC. As I was saying, NAVI tried to use their numbers advantage. They had 5 versus 4 before Canna could respond. But once they weren't able to get any kills, the fact that Canna had arrived meant that NAVI really didn't have any more tools to continue the fight. That allowed KC to start the chase down and get themselves a kill back. Trinity Force now secured for Yike, the second dragon of the game as well. And we'll see it back here. A really nice initiation comes through from NAVI. The TP timing is good, the shockwave connects, but they just don't quite have enough damage. Han Samdi can't quite get in range. She also gets stunned up as well. And then Canna arrives, and as you mentioned, Medic, Han Samdi doesn't have a flash available to him. He's already used his dash to get closer to the fight, making it that much easier for KC to chase down these 2 kills.
Yeah, the re-engage kind of from Adam to try and distract Canna a little bit overeager there. I think he could have kept running away, maybe just put the chains down to lock down that Sion. In the end, KC come out very happy with that sequence. About 1,000 gold lead for them. You can see the gold swings at that bottom of the screen back in KC's favor, at least in the majority. 700 gold lead as well for this Sion. I've seen this matchup a lot, and I have seen Sion just survive it a lot of the time and then get to a fight like this and just eke out massively. It seems so hard for the Aatrox to actually have the same impact that the Sion is going to have.
Well, the logic is always that Aatrox is a champion that also scales.
Sure.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Good grand start ball. Again, Thayger gonna flash away. There's the shockwave. Quickness coming out, but Vladi's already down. Good knockup by Malrang, but Targamas can dash back to Yike to escape. Again, Navi using this Grand Starfall really, really effectively.
This is what I wanted to see from Thayger, just being proactive with the Pantheon. He makes a really nice play on the top side of the map. And it's Larssen that's going to get himself some plates. Malrang acting on
flashes in. Yike's going to try and go back forward with the Cyclone. Larssen's low. He has to flash away. But in the end, Yike will still find him stunned up by the trample. Should fall here to Thayger, but he's doing so much work. Malrang's dead as well. It's 2 for Yike. Or at least for KC in the middle of the fight. Targamas dashing away, dodges the spear shot. Thayger goes back in and gets another. The junglers absolutely popping off as Caliste finally rounds it out for KC.
It's chaos on the top side of the rift. It's ultimately a 3 for 3 as Caliste cleans up the fight and gets a kill for himself. My goodness. Navi being so proactive on the map. Malrang and Thayger working together to make stuff happen, but KC is responding to the aggression in kind, getting some kills back for themselves as well. And we'll look back at the play on the top side. It starts with Navi. A good Pantheon ultimate commits the flash. Vladi has no flash of his own, so he ends up dropping. Malrang makes his way to the fray. Now it's a 3 versus 2. They realize, hey, with this numbers advantage, I think we can threaten a dive. But Yike, he plays it so well. He knows that with his Trinity Force, he has more than enough damage to actually turn this play on its head, and he fully commits to Larssen. I think Navi just took a little bit too much time. Yike is able to create distance. He gets the double knockup onto Malrang, which makes it that much harder for Malrang to provide that peel. Yike then, with the assistance of Targamas, can also get this kill onto Malrang. And then, of course, Caliste cleans things up. Now, though, we're back to live as the Herald has started off.
Back to fighting as well. As Thayger's trying to join from the side here. Ripto down to 5,000 HP. Hunsumdi flashing away from Targamas, who's now on the wrong side of the wall. The quickness will only catch onto Malrang, who does still have the Unbreakable Will. The ball down for Larssen. Shockwave available. Rift held. The eye will sit there. In the end, I don't think Navi will be able to pick this one up. Adam's going to try and step forward. Expires pretty sharpish. Only about 20 seconds on the clock for that eye these days, and KC will defend it well. They did lose the gold from the Rift hold, but they'll make sure they don't lose any more.
Well, I will say that Navi acquiring Rogue Spot gives a lot of these players an opportunity for a fresh start.
Yeah.
And this game is already delivered.
It's feeling like it.
Action-packed from the very start. Malrang is doing so much work with Thayger to just make these ganks happen. And while it is KC with the gold lead early, it's already a very different play style, considering we've seen these players for so long, or at least a number of these players for a while. Now we get closer to the next dragon. Well, yeah, the next dragon is spawning in about 8 seconds' time.
Betty, it's League of Legends in 2025. There is always an objective to fight around.
Exactly that. I looked at the top left for a second. I thought, oh, we're 3 minutes away. Nope, wrong side. Top right, dragon going to be started off by KC.
Grand Starfall available for Thayger, but this is the third Drake of the game. It will be sole point for KC if they can find it. Malrang once again peeking his head in, or at least his horns, as he looks for the engage, but Navi are just not here quickly enough. The ball goes down, Grand Starfall coming out there looking for the shockwave combination. The dive into the backline by Thayger. Yike's going to knock him up with the Cyclone, and Thayger is separated from his team. He jumps back in for the stun, but the flash across the wall, or at least the jump with the blast cone from Canna, means that Navi cannot follow up on their jungler. KC will get the soul point, they'll get a kill, and they have a 1.5k gold lead.
KC just getting the better of Navi around that objective. They didn't waste any time. Their setup was good. Their wave management was good. They rushed down the dragon, and then Navi felt forced to make a fight happen, resulting in KC getting a beautiful punish. They get themselves a kill. They get themselves their third dragon of the game. And Canna continuing to put pressure down on the side lane. Look at this, 3 waves of pressure. Caliste catching mid, bot being pushed, top side of the map, the tower is being chipped away at. KC really getting firm control of the map here in the mid game.
They really are, and when we get to the next dragon in 4 minutes time, NAVI have to fight it. They have to be there early, which requires them gaining control of that bottom side of the map, which is really tricky business. And then, even if you do manage to do that, it's such a difficult fight to take for NAVI if you don't burst someone out immediately. Caliste or Vladi have to die early on, because otherwise, like, Hansamdi has so much he has to avoid. He has so much he has to work around. As Targamas is caught out a little bit here, looking for the grand entrance knock-up. Thayger's going to flash away, anticipating perhaps some follow-up from KC, but they didn't go for it in the end.
A bit of a misplay. He put the shield the wrong
Aegis
direction.
assault.
Yeah, the Aegis. Yep. And he was forced to flash there, which means that KC now finding themselves another small advantage. With the Rakan spawning soon, it's an objective that domestically we've talked a lot about. The teams that usually rush it are the teams that have thrown it. But given that we've had such a long off-season, I'm curious as to how KC will approach this objective, because they're the one with their foot on the pedal right now. They're the ones accelerating the game. They know that they're stronger. 2 items on Caliste, 2 items on Yike. This duo, in and of itself, is already so strong. When you throw Canna into the mix, this immovable wall with 2 tank items finished on his end.
Follow up on Targamas here. Good stun with the trample, but he can battle dance his way to safety.
KC's just in a very good position.
Yep.
It's Navi that will have to try and find a pick on a side lane. Or maybe they can rely on this Yunara to turn the game around.
We were kind of saying it a little bit before Thayger got caught, but fights are just really difficult for Navi. Like, how are you getting through Canna right now? Who is going to kill this Sion? You don't have a Lord Doms, don't even have a second item on Hansamdi. Larssen sitting on a Seraphs. Great, like, you get the shield, but that doesn't give you more damage. A good shockwave combination on Caliste and Vladi might be enough. But then, as you mentioned, Vedi, there's still Yike. There's still the Cyclone. There's still the quickness coming out from Targamas. There's still the unstoppable onslaught from Canna.
They're gonna rush this, and I really like it. They know they have a good item advantage over their opposition. Force Navi into another fight when you should be stronger.
Here's the TP from Adam. Canna waiting just around the corner. 6,000 on the Aatrox right now. Navi gonna be split up by the Weaver's wall. Targamas still waiting. Goes in with the quickness, and the feathers fly from Caliste. Hansamdi immediately has to dash away, but Yike follows up with Canna. Caliste and Targamas able to retreat to the top side of the fight. Thayger tried to get in, did steal the Aatrox in the middle of it all, but he'll pay for it with his life, as will Adam. Caliste mows him down. Navi discombobulated, but somehow Thayger keeps them in it with an Aatrox steal.
It's a clean ace for KC, ballooning the gold lead to 5.4k. Targamas with a fantastic engage to set the whole play up. Thayger does sneak away the Aatrox in the midst of the chaos, but let's look back at Targamas, sitting in the darkness, waiting for the overstep. He sees it from Larssen, and he finds the engage onto both carries. The ulti comes through from Caliste. Yike with the Wukong takes out both carries. And while the Aatrox does fall, I think KC's pretty happy with how this fight played out.
Oh, they'll be very happy, Vedi. A 5-0 ace. That's smelling sweet. That's smelling like petrichor in the morning for you. Incredibly happy with that. Now a 6,500 gold lead. And for Navi, it's a small mercy that they were able to steal away the Aatrox. But now they have another objective to fight over. 30 seconds before Cloud Soul here for KC. Where are we in terms of summoners? Well, only Larssen and Adam have flashes for Navi. Vladi has his. No one else on KC currently possesses the ability to blink a short distance with that flash button. But in terms of itemization, it's still a large lead for KC. That's
the biggest thing. Navi's just desperately trying to complete more items. Oh, Canna on the front lines here.
He doesn't take any damage from Hansamdi. He goes back in with Unstoppable Onslaught. There's the Weaver's Wall as well. Malrang in the middle of them all with the Zeke's Convergence, but it's just not doing anything. That's roast beef for KC. And now they will turn their eyes towards the Dragon. I mean, Thayger could look for a Steel Grand Starfall in, then land the smite, but there's no vision in the pit for him. And he's on the wrong side of dodge right now to go for such a play. KC will secure the soul. 22 minutes in, Vedi. Rapid ascension towards that 4 Drake mark. And with a 7,000 gold lead, Cloud, Soul, an Infernal, and a Chemtech Drake as well to back them up, it is a very sticky wicket here for Na'Vi.
I like that we are seeing Na'Vi be proactive. I like that they were trying to force things in the early game. They were trying to pick onto KC, and they were just trying to make stuff happen. But KC's objective setup, the way that they've been navigating the fights, has just been better. They have been outplaying Na'Vi. And remember, Na'Vi in the early game, they got themselves 4 kills, but KC has not given them a kill since. And so the moment that they reach this mid-game point, they have just demolished. And I mean, really, it's kind of... When you kind of look at the scoreboards, obviously Caliste deathless. He's been having good positioning, good damage, but the game really has been very much about Targamas and Canna for me. Just like their teamfight presence, their positioning, the way they execute, and then the Yike follow-up. Vladi and Caliste, I think, they've just kind of had to do their job of dealing damage.
Stand at the back, hit them.
Exactly, exactly. And really all of the setup that has come through from Canna and Targamas has just been spectacular to watch. So fantastic game one from KC. Right now they're definitely in the driver's seat. With the Soul secured, Baron will likely be that next point of contention for them as they look to try and close this one out. Na'Vi is going to have to find some miracle or make magic happen in order to turn this game around. I mean,
you can see just how much KC have been doing their jobs. Canna obviously is going to be a little bit higher on the damage numbers because when you match into something like an Aatrox, you can heal. You are just, it's handbags, right? You're throwing fists at each other, nothing's really sticking. But Caliste, 17,000 damage, 24 minutes into this game. I mean, you can take Larssen and Handsome D, add them up, and it's only just 1,000 damage more than Caliste has been able to do on this Xayah. Has self-heal, has been positioning well. It's a very difficult road back now for Na'Vi. Adam trying to get some gold up towards that top side. TP coming out from Vladi. He's going to try and match the push as they take the tier 2 in the mid lane. Adam backs away, Baron up in 14 seconds.
And so far this game, KC have just been starting objectives on spawn. Looks like they've caught out Adam.
Yeah, he is not in the best of spots here. The World Ender, it might live up to its name, but it may be his world that's being ended here as he's caught out KC with good movements on the map, using the Weaver's Wall to separate Adam from his easiest escape route, and then with Targamas and Caliste coming up, it was all at the end for the Aatrox. Baron begun. KC will secure it 25 minutes in. Meanwhile, Na'Vi are trying to get things on the other side of the map. We talk about cross-map play. When you're this far behind, yeah, there's no real point challenging that Baron, especially without your top laner. See if you can get a tier 2. See if you can get the wave pushed out to make KC's oncoming advance a little bit more difficult.
I mean, I will say, this is a super clean game from KC. Just the way that they were playing around the objectives. I felt like that we just saw zero indecisiveness. You know, objective spawn, what do? We started. We've got the vision in place. We know if they come, we'll turn and fight. Like, the way that they've played this has been very impressive to see, and it's a great way to start off your split. Of course, there's still the rest of this series to play through. This is, of course, a best of 3. Na'Vi can still turn things around, but for a game 1, KC looking clean here to start off the split.
That they are, after their prolonged vacation in the middle of the year, now back on fighting form. Obviously, it's only Na'Vi, but with the way they've been playing, it definitely looks good for KC. I mean, it's 26 minutes of one game, guys. Like, they're playing really well, they're doing the right things, they're taking the right steps. You can argue it's the opposition that's causing this to happen, or you can argue it's just game 1. We're here to make judgments on this sort of thing, and the judgment right now is, KC, you're looking good.
Bot tower going to be sieged on, playing through 2 lanes for now. As we've got Canna split pushing in mids. He is ignoring all of the damage posed by Adam and is just going to chip away at the tower. The Demolish proc doing good work.
Yeah, 3-item Sion, you're not really going to do any damage here. Adam on the wrong side of the wall. Grand Starfall coming down as they look for Caliste, but Yike with a good Cyclone will get a double knock-up onto Thayger. Unstoppable also coming out from Canna as he looks for the knock-up onto Malrang. Can't get it, but Malrang still falls. Vladi flashing over the wall, chasing Adam down. The Infernal Chains won't connect. Somebody untouched so far. They're having to pop the ultimate. And now walking back to the fountain. TP's coming out as KC look to continue this advance. Sion back with full HP and an elixir of iron just to add to the deal here. Not going to be able to get your way through him. He flashes for Larssen, decimating smash, stunned out of Targamas going in with a knock-up. They're knocked back onto Larssen with the seismic shove, though. Will it be enough? And KC are just forcing Na'Vi away from their own inhibitors, away from their own base. And back to the drawing board, it seems. KC still 5 members strong as we see NAVI respawning and immediately being put 6 feet under demolition here from KC in game 1.
28-minute stomp from the side of KC. We saw some nice proactive moves from NAVI in the early game, but once KC got a foothold, they just never let go. 18 kills to 4. They had full control over all the objectives. Beautifully done by KC.
It really was. We're going to take a short break, maybe jump back into the jacuzzi. We'll see you after this.